is the last day of Pennsylvania deer season. It is late season. I got the bow out. We had torrential rainfalls this morning. Like, I'm crazy. The creek right now is like super high. It's like it's a raging river. It's gone down since the rain stopped, but it's still rushing pretty fast. Hopefully that'll get the deer on their feet tonight. It's the last day. They were moving a lot last night right before the rain. Unfortunately, I couldn't hunt, but this afternoon we're out here. The rain ended about an hour ago. Hunt-wise is saying that we're gonna have some good deer movement tonight. It's a 4.1 out of 5, so hopefully that means we'll be able to put one on the ground tonight. Well, if you can't hear behind me, or right below me, the creek is raging, like I said, and it's right below me, so it's going to be pretty noisy. It's wet, so I'm not going to hear any deer coming unless they're splashing through puddles. So we got to keep our eyes peeled tonight, and hopefully, because of the conditions, we'll have the deer on their feet. Hopefully this last day will be a good one. I've been scanning and glassing with my binoculars for about the past hour now and still haven't turned anything up. But the temperature is definitely dropping. The sun is kind of starting to peek out over there on the horizon, so we might get a sunset tonight, but yeah, no deer again. It's kind of frustrating. I hunt one night, see nothing. My brother actually hunted here last night, sees 10 deer. I saw 10 deer here last night. I come out again right after the rain. Good time, good conditions. Still haven't seen anything. Story of my life. Not really, but sort of. The sun is finally out. Still no deer. Temperature is dropping. It's really pretty out, but really disappointed that we haven't seen any deer. In a way, I am ready for this season to be over because it's been long, really hard at times, and frustrating. Even that's hunting. Hunting is so frustrating. There's a spike. Probably like 60 yards. Probably like 60 yards. He's real skittish. He doesn't know I'm here, but he's kind of skittish right now. See a deer tonight. I was actually scanning with my binoculars, looking to where I saw deer the other night, trying to see if something was over on that ridge. I got my binoculars down, and I looked down here, right to my right. I looked down here to my right, and I just see this big brown thing. I'm like, that's a really weird stump. Holy crap, that's a deer. I thought it was a really big doe, but it's a spike. Decent little spike. It's cool we saw a deer. It's a good way to end this season. Alrighty guys, so the season is over, and it is sad that we did not get any deer this year. Well, I didn't, but overall it was actually a pretty good season, even though it was long and kind of brutal at some times, but it was pretty good. We had some good encounters, and that's actually what I want to go over here quickly in this video. I was going to make an entirely separate video about it, but thought it might be boring to some people. So we're just going to quickly, I'm going to try to quickly run through everything here on this list. I have a long list here. Starting on opening day, we saw 10 deer, including 2 buck. The first buck that we saw was actually a big 6-point that I ended up seeing all season long. So that's a pretty memorable hunt, and it was actually a good start. But by the 3rd day of hunting, it was already going downhill. My hunt was ruined by the neighbor farmer who actually was coming through and mowing his pasture, which was 90 yards below me. And that's kind of what happens when you hunt in kind of urbanized areas. I mean, it's not super like populated around here, but we hunt property lines. We're hunting close property lines because that's kind of how property lines are divided around here: creeks, ridges, hills. Day 4, I actually saw a really cool buck. He was a little 5-point with an extra main beam coming off, so he was a 7-point because he had another point as well. That was the only deer I saw that evening, but it was the first deer that I actually had in range that I could have shot. Now the next memorable hunt is when I took my mom hunting, and it was just funny because we goof off, and it's just fun to hunt with her. We didn't see anything. I wonder why, because we were talking a lot, but it was still funny. Now another hunt that was memorable was when I shot at a squirrel. I had this squirrel that I was watching all evening. Finally, the squirrel decided to, he got brave enough and he walked in the food plot. So I swapped out my arrow to my varmint arrow. The squirrel was right there, 10 yards, 8 yards, shot right over him, literally like less than an inch over him. Kind of kicking myself for that, but it was kind of funny. The next couple hunts, we were getting into the rut a whole lot, and I went out one morning. We had a big cold front move in. It was like 30 degrees that morning, and I was kind of disappointed because I didn't see a whole lot of deer. I only saw 2 little buck, but it was nice to get out in the morning on that day. Another hunt, I was actually hunting over a bean field. The beans were just harvested about a week before, and I saw a lot of fresh tracks in there, and I decided I was going to hunt the bean field, see if I couldn't catch a doe or something coming out. Didn't see any in the field that evening, but I did have some doe about 20-30 yards to my right. I think there were 2 doe. Just through a bunch of brush and they never came out. The next one was, we were hunting one evening and I saw 5 buck in one evening, and that was probably the peak of the rut activity that I saw. No doe that evening, just all buck, and I'm sure they were all just kind of walking around cruising for does. It was about a week after that we went up to the cabin to hunt, about a week before the peak, November 9th I think it was, and I saw a big 6-point that morning, 3.5-year-old buck, and my uncle had actually passed it up the day before. And I was really hesitant on shooting this deer. It's a pretty big body deer, and if there was one deer that I would have shot all season that I actually had an opportunity of shooting, it would have been that deer. It's just his tines were super short. It just wasn't quite what I was looking for. A deer actually ended up walking right up to my brother, which was sitting like 150 yards from me, and walked right in front of him, but he kind of forgot his bow was right here, and didn't get his bow in time. And anyway, the deer spun around and walked right back in front of me. I could have shot him again, but I didn't. My uncle, though, did shoot a really nice 8-point buck. That was one of the videos. He was covered up in buck and rut activity all morning. Anyway, he shot that buck, and then that evening, my brother shot a doe out at the same stand. So that was cool. My best encounter all season was a few days after that. I encountered a buck that I called Mr. Smith. This deer is probably a 5, 6, 7. I don't even know how old this deer is, but he's a super old deer. He was a 6-point, and he wasn't even that big. He was maybe this big, not even big at all, but his body was huge, and I could tell this buck is the king of the land right now. He was just a freaking old deer. He came into 10 yards. Right when he walked into 10 yards, just through some brush, the wind shifted. If this deer just would have minded his own business and the wind didn't shift and walked right by me, I could have just slowly stood up, pulled back, and shot him, but that didn't happen. Anyway, that was an awesome encounter. After that, the last day of archery hunting that I hunted, I ended up seeing like 3 doe that were pretty close. Never gave me a great opportunity to shoot them. And then I had like a young 9-point that went running by about 50-60 yards. He never stopped. I tried to grunt him in, but he wasn't coming in. The crazy thing about that hunt is when there was actually like this kid or someone hunting like 100 yards from me, and I heard a shot go off, like and he was hunting with a crossbow. I could see him walking around with a crossbow when he got out of the stand. But this little buck came running by me, and I was like, he must have shot at that buck. Well, about 20 minutes later, I see him walking out around the pasture, and then he went and got someone else, and then there were 2 guys walking around the pasture like 60 yards from me, trying to track this deer, but I knew by the behavior of the deer that he missed. But they went about their thing, and anyway, he got back in the stand then and kept hunting. Then we go to the cabin. That wasn't really a very productive hunt, honestly. We were there for 4 days, and this year in Pennsylvania, they opened the gun season on Saturday instead of Monday. Saturday after Thanksgiving instead of the Monday after Thanksgiving. Anyway, I saw a decent little buck there on Monday morning. Nothing that I wanted to shoot, and then 5 doe right behind me. The cool thing about that morning though, Monday morning, is I saw that buck, the 5 doe, and then 2 coyotes, and my dad actually got a shot off at one. I almost got a shot off at one if it would have stopped. But then come back to our place, and it was the, I think, second to last day of gun season, and I was hunting right after kind of a snowstorm. There was some snow on the ground. Hunted all evening, didn't see anything, and then it was like the last 10 minutes of light, and I had just finished like my interview. I was just kind of like talking to the camera and said some stuff. Just put my phone away, stood up, turned around, there's 3 deer, about 90 yards. And one was a buck, I could tell it was a buck, and I could see a rack. So I was like, it's late in the season, I can't really tell what it is. I know it's a buck. I could see a decent sized rack. Pulled the gun up, set it down on the little hanger thingy I had, and pulled the trigger, and just barely clipped him. Then one of the funny hunts, kind of along with my mom, I took my aunt hunting. We kicked a few deer up walking in. One was a 3-legged doe that I'd also been seeing on camera a lot. And the funny thing was, there were some neighbors like 1,000 yards away, and they were singing Country Roads by John Denver, and the sound was carrying all the way over. It was really funny. And then late season came. I mean, that was late season, but I hunted like 3 or 4 more times late season, including today's hunt, and didn't really see any deer at all until today. I saw that spike this evening, and that was it. That was the end of our season. And hopefully you guys enjoyed all the hunting videos. Hopefully you found them kind of interesting. I know that I do a little bit different hunting and video style. I don't show a lot of deer kills because frankly we don't have a whole lot of deer kills. I'm literally just a hunting vlog. I'm vlogging every single hunt, every single part of it, the good and the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. So I want to thank y'all for watching. I know the hunting season's over, but the content is not. My plan, like I said in a couple videos previously, man, I can't talk. I want to get into some fishing videos, a lot more of that, and so I'm planning on doing that a lot. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.